You can call me Ty or Ty.
Mm.
And I am so excited about this World Family Experience because it is a real opportunity to gather in love and light and to be able to address, global loneliness and attitudes of depression and moods of depression and sadness in a way that is offering collective healing. And so I'm really grateful that Elmira has had this beautiful vision of bringing so many people together through art and creative outlets. And it's just been an honor working on the production team and really excited for the family experience event.
Yeah, you
So
kind
I'm
of said
actually
it
currently
all.
in Rishikesh, India, and I have been, yeah, like right now, I've been, supporting on the production team as a support manager, and I think my internet might be a little wonky. I'm not sure if my video is coming through, but I'm just really glad, to be present and support and really make this happen. It's going to be a great event.
Yes, I can feel it. And based on what you said too, because you said you're in, how do you pronounce the name of the word? Is it ricochet? I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Rishikesh. Yep, yep.
Rishikesh.
Rishikesh, India. It's the yoga capital of the world. Yep.
So what made you go there?
Right. So a couple of reasons, I was celebrating my birthday. I was entering a new decade and, being able to ground myself more spiritually and deepen my yoga practice. Yoga is something that I've never really considered being a practitioner of until I experienced, grief and the loss of a loved one. And, I just ended up, doing a yoga class. And, I was in the pigeon pose, which is like a hip opener. And, it's said that we carry a lot of trauma and emotions in our hips.
Mm-hmm.
And, just like an automatic floodgates opening of tears and crying and release. And that's how I knew it was more than just exercise, that it was a beautiful spiritual connection to self, to body, and to God. And so I wanted to learn more. And so I've been practicing yoga for about a year. And I was like, you know what, I want to really deepen this practice. And so I came on out to Rishikesh, India for, some training. So I'll be certified as a yoga instructor as well as in the art of hatha yoga, ashtanga yoga, vinyasa yoga,
Wow.
um, pranayama, which is breathwork yoga, as well as nidra, which is a kind of sleeping yoga, and sound bowl healing. So I'm just really excited to be able to continue as a practitioner and then also to be able to share this gift with others. It's been a real blessing.
It is, and the variety you speak of, and especially your personal experience with grief. What that says to me is when it comes to yoga, when it comes to healing, even the stuff you help organizations with, you can get in at any angle because some people think, the wellness stuff you help with, the organizational things you assist with has to be one way. No, you could, like you said, it could be breath work. It could be this. It could go this way. I actually do Kundalini yoga myself more than anything. But yeah, yeah, you speaking of the variety.
Right, and that's the thing, people assume, yoga has been appropriated, right? And, people assume that it's just about flexibility, it's just about moving the body. And that's just, like 2% of the practice. Yoga itself, in Sanskrit, it translates to English as union. And really, it's about being in connection with self and the creator, right? However you define God, source, creator, universe. And, it is that beautiful connection and union that we're looking to activate within us. And so, yeah, I think that. being mindful of, how you show up for yourself, right? And self-love and in practice every
Hmm.
day and creating space, to still the mind and, or at the very least to observe your thoughts,
Yeah, that's a good
because that's
one.
where that's where anxiety begins, right? That's where some of the thoughts of loneliness begin, right? It's just what you're thinking about. And so if we can shift to this metacognition, right? Like being aware of what we're thinking about, to be able to mitigate, the feelings of stress, mitigate feelings of anxiety, mitigate feelings of depression and loneliness. Yoga is an extremely powerful tool. Meditation is a powerful tool, to be able to do that. And I think that, um, in addition to the world family experience, right? Like for those who are interested in, not only connecting with others, but really connecting with self on a deeper level, I would highly recommend meditation and, just returning to your breath, right? Like you don't need permission, to take a deep breath. And so I think that these are all powerful tools that are available to all of us.
Yeah, and we all have breath. I mean, it sounds so, when we have to do it, we have to kind of train our thoughts and be aware of our thoughts, but it does require that pause and awareness.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, DJ T Rex, what you got to add on this topic of like meditation or relaxation or any of that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I always have a hard time with meditation because I guess my mind is just too active, and it's hard for me to just stop and just meditate sometimes. But it does help. It's just for me, it's hard to get into.
And I'm so glad that you said that, DJ Terrence, because you're not the only one, right? And, it's really setting yourself up for meditation. You have to prepare for the meditation, right? Especially since our minds are so active, you can't just expect, not to think about anything. And that's what I mean about observing what you're thinking about, observing your thoughts, right? Like when you sit in meditation, it doesn't mean that you're without thought, especially when you start off. Um, and so, so the first thing, preparing for meditation, looks like you might want to chant, right? Or sing, right? To kind of get yourself into the spirit of meditation. And then from there, like allow the thoughts to just flow initially, right? Like without judgment, without trying to organize, right? Just observe, what's moving through your mind. And then, eventually, it becomes about trying to gain some clarity and stillness, with your thoughts. And so it doesn't happen automatically, just like anything, right? Like, if you enjoy basketball, right? You're not going to be a LeBron out the gate or, a Michael Jordan. I mean, I grew up on Michael Jordan, so I'm a huge MJ fan. So you're not going to be a Michael Jordan out the gate, right? Michael Jordan wasn't Michael Jordan out the gate, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it really is about practice. And so, I would just offer, like don't give up on the practice, and definitely set your intention, right, around meditation, right? So like maybe today, I'll listen to a guided meditation, right? It may mean that, like listening to, some soft music in the background, right? Without lyrics, or it might mean, listen to someone, who's offering a visualization exercise, right? To help you prepare for silent meditation. And those are all practices, that lends itself to, disciplining the mind, right? And so, like, there are stages and just different steps, that you can really introduce yourself to before you just go into the full blown silent meditation. So, hopefully, that helps and offers, some tools for people to access.
Yeah, it does. because for me, the idea I had before of meditation was always it just has to be quiet with no sound and try not to have any thoughts at all. But it definitely, I'll definitely have to try that with just observing the thoughts that come through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know when I technically started meditating, that was the probably the hardest thing. And not just meditating, going through mindset work. Like, I'm like, we got to know what my mind is doing. I was like, okay, this is interesting. But then once you pause and you can see, oh, yeah, it was that thought. How many times am I thinking this one thought today? I was thinking the same thing 100 times over. I'm like, no wonder I'm creating this because I keep thinking about this. I keep thinking this person is going to be mad at me, or this customer, when I used to work retail, is going to do something. My thoughts were just on repeat. I was like, this is this is bad.
Right. And I think, to your point, Elmira, it's really a matter of being a good steward over, what you're telling yourself about yourself. And, I know that affirmations, kind of exploded over the past year in terms of, a tool for manifestation, a tool for, positive self talk, which is all well and good. But if you're not really addressing some of the deep rooted limiting beliefs that you have about yourself, right? You telling yourself that you're worthy, right? Which is true.
Mm-hmm.
It's to really appeal to your subconscious because you don't believe it. And so, part of Elmira, the thing that we have to really lean into is addressing some of those limiting beliefs, right? Like, what is it that you're telling yourself about yourself, or what have you accepted as truth that other people have said about you, even from childhood, right? Like, what are the baggage, that you're carrying around, that is still influencing, right, how you see yourself and your behavior, right, in the world. And so I think that before we can you know, even develop affirming language, we really have to do some of the work and really get to the root of those limiting beliefs. And I know that for me in particular, right, like talking to a clinical therapist has been helpful, as well as, like journaling, right, getting to some of my own limiting beliefs, writing them out, right, getting clear around what they are, and connecting that to, real world examples and evidence of how it shows up, right? Like you got to call a thing, you got to name a thing, right, to identify it. And so that's just been important self work that I've had the privilege of doing, to really honor my own growth and development. So I just offer that as small tools and strategies for others who are interested in really re reimagining and shifting their self narrative.
Because you said something so critical about the limiting beliefs. How does one get to identifying those limiting beliefs? Like, how do you know what they are?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And again, my background is so just to be clear, my background is in education development and organizational leadership, and so supporting organizations with developing clear systems and structures to run more effectively and for teams to be well, right? So integrating wellness a part of organizational culture and strategy, and my you know, experience though with my own kind of limiting beliefs and work in the healing and wellness space with others really looks at and investigating some childhood traumas first, right?
Mm.
And so, what were some of those major events? People, places, and things that really caused the most harm, right, to our development, to our psyche, to our identity, and the things that we hold on as identity. And so, the limiting beliefs are, the negative self-talk that emerges, right? And so, like I'm not enough, right? Or, I am not worthy, right? You might tell yourself things like, I can't do this. I'm not designed to do something hard, right? I can't do the hard thing. You might tell yourself, no one cares about me, right? Like loneliness happens when you think that you're literally alone in this world, right? Or that
Yeah.
you know, that there isn't anyone who's reliable who shows up for you, or that you're not loved, that no one will show up for you. And I think that those are all limiting beliefs, right? Because it's an emotion in the moment. And one of the things that I learned was that, your emotions are like your children, right? And, you need to be in the driver's seat at all times, not your emotions, not your children. I mean, you wouldn't let your children drive, right? If they're like 4 and 5 years old. And so similarly, we're often allowing our emotions to be in the driver's seat. And so instead, right, like accept and acknowledge that the emotions are there. Like, yeah, I feel alone, right? But is it true that I'm not loved, right? And so really that's a limiting belief, right? And like what in my childhood, what in my adolescence, what in my early adulthood has led me to believe that I'm not loved or that no one cares about me, right? Like that is the investigation that's needed for really addressing that limiting belief.
Yeah, it's like doing the examination, taking it back, like a doctor or something got to do the checkup. It's like, where does this
That's
come
exactly
from?
right. And it's not easy, right? Like this is what we mean when we say, like healing work, right? This is, very intentional. It is, like no one is going to love you like you love you, right? No one is going to care for you the way that you care for you. And it is so critical. I think it is the highest calling, on a spiritual level that we can do for ourselves beyond even mothering or parenting or caring for others. I think that we get to first mother ourselves, right? Father ourselves, and be in a position to love ourselves so that we can love others whole, complete, lacking nothing. And I think that's the point, right? Like we get to grow into the best versions of ourselves. And I think
Hmm.
that this particular platform with the World Family Experience, it allows a lot of people to connect in real ways and be able to do some of that work.
For sure, for sure. Well, I definitely want to welcome Elroy. We see you made it. Hey, Elroy, tell the people now. Well, before
Hello.
Elroy speak, let me tell you about him. Elroy is a dynamic individual. He's a public speaker, author, everything. Because Elroy, how long have you been speaking? I think since a teenager or something.
Yes, I've been speaking since wow, probably when I was in high school was the first time I started actually public speaking.
Oh wow! What got you started?
So really what had got me started in the public speaking is just being able to really have a passion for helping others to be able to learn different things. Like I really love like educating people on different things, whether it be things such as learning how to, like you said, write a book, being able to teach people about personal branding. It's just being able to see other people grow from things that I teach that gives me enjoyment.
And you mentioned personal branding, and I know you have a book out on legacy. You're going to bring that to the World Family Experience, speaking about legacy,
Yes,
among other
yes.
things. Tell us about the book. How did you develop the book?
Yes, so the book actually came from I was really wanting, I had after my last book that I had written previously, it was about marketing your brand, Mac Yourself Out, which was an acronym. And with that book, it was all about really teaching people how to use really how to access your own personal branding kit to really be able to market and brand yourself as a brand. But I really felt like going into 2026 and being able to see a lot of the things that's going on in the world, it really brought it home when I really wanted to teach people about legacy development and why it's really important to focus on your legacy now. Legacy is something that I feel like we don't really talk about enough. It's a conversation that we really don't think about as much as we should, because with legacy, each and everything that we do from a day to day, we're building towards our lasting legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Every conversation that we have, every interaction that we have, we're literally leaving a mark. We're planting seeds as we're going throughout the day. And with these seeds come harvest. We were able to see growth in others. We really have the ability to influence other people. Each and every day, we're making decisions and we're doing things that are influencing other people um, to really act on things as they would have to. I was speaking to a gentleman today. I build AI websites now, and I spoke to him today, and he was like, Elroy, he said, I just really want to thank you because, just seeing how passionate you are in terms of how you take someone else's vision and you almost kind of like make it your own in terms of being able to treat it with care and to show as much passion for your client as, the passion that they have and everything. And it was like seeing your drive just made me want to amp up and do more too. And that's how it should be. Like we should really be invested in seeing other people's visions grow. And from seeing other people's visions grow, that's how we make our vision grow.
That's so true because I feel like that's what me and you have too. Because I met you, I was saying this on the behind the scenes chat. It's been like 8 to 10 years. We met everybody in Nashville when I was living there. And
Yes.
Elroy, had come there for a speaking engagement. I'm like, we need to meet up. So we met up. We went on Broadway, had some ice cream, some food. We went to Monell's, right? What you eat at Monell's?
Look, I'm still trying to remember. I know it was something good. It either had to be some kind of pasta or chicken. I love pasta and chicken a lot, so
It
it had
was
to
they.
be.
You know they got fried chicken.
It may have been the fried chicken. It may have
Oh.
been. I would not have been surprised.
Yeah, but that's one of the things I'm big on, everybody, is networking. And what you mentioned, Elroy, is the legacy. Sometimes people, because this event, World Family Experience, is about bringing people together and curing loneliness. And I'm calling on you to examine within yourself, even what Ty was saying earlier. We have to do that piece, the journaling, looking inside. What are our limiting beliefs? Sometimes we forget about people. When you do something, don't just think about the person you just met. You might know somebody like Elroy who you've known for 8 years, or you like, I mean, how can I involve Elroy? How can I do this event with DJT Rex? How can I even bring on other people? Because a lot of times that's part of networking to me, is using your entire network. It could be somebody from high school. You can utilize somebody from college, somebody from anywhere. It does a city you used to live in. Do not forget about people. And I'll give you an example of that today. It's a life coach I know online, Ava Laura, connected with her on Facebook, and she was looking for a dietitian. And I'm telling y'all what I do so you can maybe use this as a tip. I'll say, well, who do I know? And maybe if I don't know a dietitian, I know somebody who's similar to a dietitian. So Jessica's name came up. I said, Jessica, she's like a PA, physician's assistant, health coach. Maybe she knows somebody. So I linked her. I said, maybe Jessica knows somebody. So just use your noggin, because sometimes that's why we miss or we feel not connected in relationships, because we're not keeping the connection. We cut people off too quickly, and I've been guilty of that myself. So I'm going to say it. You don't need to necessarily, because we got this thing today where I'm just going to block them. I don't need them no more. I'm going to block them on Facebook. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this real quick. Or I'm going to ghost them too. That happens as well. And what that does is also blocks you from your opportunities, from your blessing when you block that person, because that person could have been your link, your plug to something. And well, anybody can chime in on that. What I was just saying. Anybody got something to add? You, DJ T Rex?
Oh, you mean about blocking or
Well,
cutting
just
someone
about
off?
networking or staying in touch with family, staying in touch with friends, blocking, any of that.
Yeah, definitely. Staying in touch with people is definitely something important. I know I need to work on that myself. Um,
What do you think would be helpful in that area?
um, because for me, I probably think to worry too much about my own issues and don't always reach out or try to tell anyone else what's going on.
Yeah, understandable. Anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah, so I'll chime in, and I agree. And it goes back to your network determines your net worth. So those that you come in contact with, the connections that you make, these truly contribute to your net worth. And one thing that I've been working on as a goal is to start like you said, start networking more. So even if you go and find one networking event per month and you meet at least one new person, that's progress, right? So you have to start somewhere. So, I would encourage, anyone that's wanting to grow their network and to be able to, meet new people, like, try to find out like what kind of networking events are going on in your area, meet new people, make new connections. Even with some of the things that we do day to day, we have to sometimes we have to make ourselves uncomfortable to get comfortable. And what I mean by that is like, we have to get outside of our comfort zone and be able to communicate with others, to be able to make new connections and things of that nature. And one of the things that I think that is valuable, and I had spoke about it in one of my prior books, is that we have to look at ourselves almost like a company, right? Every company has a has a board of directors. So I even tell people, as you're growing, in your profession, if you're as you're growing in your business, as you're growing the brand, connect yourself and create your own personal board of directors. We all need mentors. We all need mentors to help us grow. So I always encourage people, find at least like 3 to 5 people that have strengths that may be your weaknesses, right? Or 3 to 5 people that may be in industries that you may want to get into, or have started businesses that you want to start, or can mentor you in areas that you're seeking to go. This helps build you over time and helps to grow your networking skills, but you also have start building yourself a foundation for your brand.
That's right. I like that concept. Having your personal board of directors. For real. I know you got something to say, Ty.
I think that this is, I really love Elroy's approach, particularly thinking about it from a kind of career development approach, right? And kind of building, your network intentionally and not burning those bridges. And your network being a intrinsic reflection of really where you are in your own career and journey. And what I will add, I think from a social perspective is that I think now, especially with Gen Z, I'm going to highlight a couple of differences in generations here, right? So I think that I would be, like an earlier millennial. And, we were raised, I think, collectively to, right after baby boomers, to really honor this kind of work progression, right? And, I think now millennials are in this very interesting place where we get to honor the work progression while also developing entrepreneurially, right? Given the state of the job market. Whereas Gen Zers, right, like from the gate, I think have more of an entrepreneurial mindset. And really, what that does is it lends itself to creating more, right? And having a lower tolerance for a lot of social interactions that we would have to tolerate in the workplace, right? For instance, cutting people off, like this very topic around, around disassociating from people who you perceive to be um, who you perceive to be, not useful, right, in your own journey in some sense. And I think the danger in that, outside of what Elroy has already identified, is like you're essentially, not developing the skills, right, that you would need to manage, right, basic human and social interactions, right? I think it is one thing to cut someone off, right, who has, deliberately hurt you or has caused some level of, trauma, right? And it is another thing to cut someone off just because it's easy, right? Like to walk away from certain relationships is very easy. It doesn't require much, especially if they don't mean anything to you, right? But I think the real work developmentally, and if you're invested in your growth, comes in discerning, right, who to walk away from and who to, embrace the challenge, right, of growth and being able to really think and assess what that person is helping you to see or to learn or to do, right? And so that's just my 2 cents, particularly when it comes to like, our generational gap. Um, I think that Gen Z kind of perpetuates this narrative around, self love and, protecting peace. And all of those things are well and good, but it's not effective without discernment. Right. And it doesn't mean you just cut anyone off who doesn't agree with you. Right. It means developing the skills to be able um, to engage in healthy conflict resolution. Right. It means developing the skills to be able to engage in, challenging discourse. It means being able to develop the tools and skills, to identify, areas where you may need to grow personally. And so that's just my 2 cents.
I love what you're saying there because this has come up for me probably since 2022 and even more so this year. I had to end a friendship, and Terrence knows this. Like, I went back and forth. I'm like, is this a friendship that I want to keep? Is this serving me, or am I in the wrong? Like, I was really going through the test. I was like, and I had to analyze what would be the kind of like you do the list of the pros and cons. Okay, if I continue this friendship, what would be the outcome? If I end this friendship, what would be the outcome? And sadly, I decided to end it because I was like, this is not a reciprocal relationship. Because it seemed like I was just overextending myself. And even with me being a healer, offering my services for that, I was like, okay, Elmira, you gotta, yeah. And that's to your point, too. We gotta do that assessment. Which of these relationships are worth, and you use the word discernment as well.
Absolutely. And I think, friendships and family, it's a little different, right? Because you've built those intimate relationships and you care about those relationships. So those would, for most, are harder to release, if you need to. But I think that, in terms of colleagues or in terms of, newer relationships. And I think that's why so many people feel that it's difficult to make new friends in adulthood, especially in adulthood, right? Because, like even though you may have shared interests, right? I think the real marker, an indicator of a developing friendship, right? Even especially when it's new, is whether or not you can engage in healthy conflict, right? And there's so many
Mm.
people who shy away from conflict, right? Or who are not positioned or skilled to be able to engage in conflict resolution, right? And like that's the reality of many people, entering new relationships, right? You shy away from, a disagreement when disagreement is in fact one of the cornerstones of building relationship, right? Like you're not going to, and then that's the point, right? You're not going to have or carry the same perspective. You're not going to agree with everyone, right? And and I think that we all know that conceptually, but in practice, right? Like it's a different story. So I think that there's some work to be done there. Definitely levels of discernment. It's easier to walk away, but it's hard, right? To kind of develop the muscle, right? Like when you go to the gym, in addition to yoga, I also make sure I'm in the gym. So you gotta work the muscle, right, in order to see some gains. And initially, it's gonna be super hard, right? It doesn't feel good. The next day, your muscles are gonna feel like noodles and spaghetti, right? Like it's gonna hurt.
Or they gonna
Like, it's
burn.
gonna be a little sore, right? But I think, just like working any muscle, it's a muscle, it's a skill that you develop, right? It's going to be difficult at first. It might be a little sore. You might be questioning yourself or second guessing yourself, but I think that's all the point. That's a part of the experience, right? Of developing new relationships and choosing, to stay in those relationships that are going to allow you to grow, right? And develop in that area. So
Yeah, because it's a
Elmira,
choice.
this has been a wonderful conversation. I do have to log off a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would encourage people to come on out to the World Family Experience. It's going to be a beautiful, exploration of performers, of creatives, and really connecting all people around the world. So thank you so much, Elmira, for your vision and for putting this on. And Elroy and DJ Terrence has been awesome.
Uh,
All
thank
right.
you.
See you later. See you later. Thank you.
Thank
All right, have a good
you.
one.
You too, guys.
All right. So I'll have you chime in, gentlemen, because of course sometimes it gets divided on this line. Okay, the women think this way and the men think that. What do y'all think about relationship stuff? And it could be friendships, it could be romance, all of that.
I think, um, from my perspective, it starts with being a good listener and then being an effective communicator. Oftentimes we hear a lot of people talk about effective communication, right? Which is important. But before you can communicate, you have to be able to listen, right? A lot of times, we have a tendency to want to speak before we actually understand what is being said, or speak before we have a full understanding of what the other person is trying to convey or whatever. And a lot of times, miscommunication happens in relationship because of that reason. We're not taking the time to fully understand where the other person is coming from. We're not taking the time to fully listen to what the other person is saying. And because of that, there is miscommunication that happens because of that. And I think that the better that we become as listeners, the better that we can become as effective communicators. So that's my insight on that topic.
Very good. Yeah, you got to listen. I've been listening to y'all tonight. What you got, DJ T Rex?
Yeah, like Elroy said, he's right. Listening is the biggest part. And another thing would be when you listen, you may not have to respond right away. At least think about what you're going to respond with. Sometimes you're just not able to come up with the words right at the moment. So you may have to sit down and think. And of course, think about where the other person is coming from. Why would they feel this way? Or how would you feel if you were in the situation on the other side? Um, and yeah, the biggest thing, a lot of people in a conflict, instead of listening, they're just waiting to respond with what they already have in mind to say. They're not even really listening, they're just trying to respond.
Bye, Elroy. Yeah, you said it best. And I was just saying to you earlier today, because we were watching a little bit of Married at First Sight, and I said, yeah, we got our problems too. Because sometimes I don't listen or whatever, right? Is it right?
Yeah,
And so you can't, but that's no reason for me to be like, oh my gosh, I don't like Terrence. I don't like him. He gets on my nerves every day. It's like you said, you just pause and say, okay, maybe I need some space for a little bit, or let me think about what he said, or let me think about what I said, rather. It's, you got to take a moment to just take a chill pill.
yeah.
Hmm. I think I got one final question for you as we wrap up. Because I'm interviewing him on Saturday for Instagram Live, and the topic is finding your voice. What do you think it has been over the course of your life that has allowed you to start speaking up more?
Yeah, that really is a good question. Um, I guess one big thing is probably having a lot of regrets about not speaking a lot more when I was younger, especially in school, because by the time, well, let's see, I think starting in the sixth or seventh grade, that's at that point, it's like I stopped just quit speaking to people at school. Like it is kind of hard to explain. Like I would speak to my family at home
Mm-hmm.
or say something when the teacher talked to me, but I just didn't speak to people at school. I mean, not that I would avoid being around people, but I was afraid to speak. I just didn't say anything.
I get it, because
So
sometimes that might be a response to something that happened earlier.
yeah, well, when I was real young, like kindergarten, like first, second grade, I was always like the one disrupting the class, getting in fights, talking too much in class, daydreaming. And I don't know, I guess one like elementary school, I just kind of I get maybe I got tired of getting in trouble so much or something.
Hey, Cyrus. Yeah, Terrence is speaking now. You probably can't hear him because I'm going through this mic. But yeah, we are actually about to wrap up. How are you doing? You at work tonight or you off? Oh, what's happening at the Rosies? Oh, nothing at all. You must be on break. Oh. How's Wednesdays typically? Oh, $5 burger. So he's saying everybody, because we on TikTok too. My this is my nephew Cyrus. He said they got the $5, but if you add the cheese and all the other toppings, the bacon, it ends up being $9. Why shouldn't they come? Oh, he's saying don't work at Rosie's, the casino, because that's where he work in Virginia. Mm-mm. What has been your experience? You said it's been horrible, and you've been there. Haven't you been there 3 years? Lord. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What? What was they doing? Well, YouTube, I'm gonna see y'all later. Bye, everybody. This has been fun. Oh, she, she said I see the video.